Hi, Dr. Marianne Cintron here. Today I'm going to read to you The Star Maiden by Barbara Justin Espensen. And it's pretty cool. I bought this from Amazon and it actually had the author's signature in the book. So this goes with my video 8, letter I. Once there was a time ago, long, long ago, when all the tribes in the land lived in peace. There were no wars among them. Summer was always in the air. The streams were clear and pure and filled with fish. Bird song rang from every tree, and the earth was rich with everything the people needed. All day long, they hunted and fished. They gathered fruits and nuts. They made birch bark canoes to carry them lightly along the rivers and across the wide lakes. But at night, when the work was done, the people loved to watch the sky. They loved to see the silver disk of the moon climb in the darkness. They loved to watch the stars flicker their icy fire. One night, when the sky above the prairie was glittering with starlight, they saw something new. It was the brightest star anyone had ever seen. As they watched, it began to move. It fell almost to earth, then it stopped. They could see it hanging like a white blaze near the top of a faraway hill. What could this mean? They wondered and they watched night after night. It never moved from the hilltop. Days went by. At last, the chief spoke. Let some braves go into the far hills. Let them see this thing and let them tell us what it is. So the braves went into the far hills, and they came back and said, we saw something shining there. It hung in the top of a dark pine tree. It did not answer us. It made us feel afraid. That very night, one of those young braves had a dream. A silver maiden came into his dream. She shone with silver light and spoke to him. Her voice was like a thread of silver. She held out her shining arms to him. I'm tired of wandering the sky, she said. Your world calls to me. I love the blowing winds. I love the colors I see below me. I love your rivers and lakes. I want to dip my hands in the clear water that shines up at me. I have watched your people. I have watched the children playing in the villages and tumbling in the prairie grass. I want to live among you. No more will I wander in the dark sky. Let your wisest people help me. Let them tell me what form I will take. Then I can live on your land forever. The young brave woke up. It was still night. His dream was gone. The silver maiden had vanished too. When he looked at the far-off hills, he saw the shining light hanging in the top of the pine tree. Then he fell asleep again. In the morning, a young brave told the chief about his strange dream. The chief called the wisest men and women together. They sat in their council circle and listened. The chief stood up and he spoke. A star wants to live on earth, he said. Our people will welcome her. The blue air over the prairie will fill with birdsong and honor her coming. On earth, she cannot be a shining star, so let her choose the form she will take. She can be a flower growing in the earth. She can be a fish swimming in the water. She can be a bird soaring in the clear air. Her home will be where she finds a peaceful resting place. Go, you must find her and tell her this. The chief and the wise ones stood up slowly. I want you to see those pictures. And walked around their fire. They sang a song of welcome and threw sweet wood on the flames. The fragrant smoke rose up, up into the morning sky. It was a greeting to the star. The next night, the young brave left the village. He went into the faraway hills where the silver light hung in the top of a tree. He looked up and the light floated down to where he stood. It was the silver maiden of his dream. She turned and she followed. She drifted above him, lighting his way through the darkness. When the young brave came home, the people crept out to see their star maiden. Her soft light hung in the air over the wigwams all night long. Morning came and the star maiden slipped into the center of a rose that grew on a hillside. The people heard her voice in the air above them. This shall be my new home, in this flower. I shall live on earth. In this flower I shall live on earth. But the next day they heard her voice again. This rose is too far from the village, she said. I never see the people I love. So she left the rose and floated down to the wild grassy prairie. Flowers of every color grew there. I shall live on this prairie, the star maiden said to the wind. So she chose a small flower as blue as the sky. This is where I will stay. But something was wrong. Every day the earth shook and trembled under her. Herds of great buffalo trampled the ground. Their hoofs dug at the earth. I cannot rest here, she cried out. And that night the people saw her shining light rise into the dark sky above their heads. And they were sad. They were afraid she would leave forever. Their earth did not welcome her after all. She could not find a peaceful home. The star maiden drifted over the lake. She hung there. Her reflection floated on the dark water. Floating on the water were the reflections of all her sky sisters, too. The people watched. Then they heard the silver voice again. Sisters, sisters, she called. Stop your wandering. Find rest with me. These quiet waters will be our home. Come. The people saw the sky shake. With glittering points of light. They saw the dark lake come alive with stars. What does this mean? They asked. The wise one smiled. The chief smiled too. Let us go to our beds and sleep now, he said. Our star maiden has found a home at last. The night wind blew, loons called, owls hooted. When morning came, something was different. Hundreds of stars were floating on the blue lake. No, not stars. Hundreds of star flowers floated there. Water lilies. The star maiden had found her place on earth. Her star sisters had listened. They had stopped wandering across the night sky too. They had dropped into the lake to join the star maiden in her new home. All the people floated out in their canoes. They leaned over to touch the creamy petals. Water lilies. They are stars that fell from the deep sky one night long, long ago. If you see them, touch them gently. Their petals shine in the sun like the stars that lived and sparkled in the sky once upon a time. Water lilies, touch them gently and remember. So this is Star Maiden, and it goes with book I, which has a little Star Maiden story, and it has comprehension. What did the people find in the sky? They found the star. Who was in the sky floating? It was the Star Maiden. In this story here, there was a buffalo in it, and in this story, there was an acorn, and there were lilies. And I think it's quite interesting. I guess for copyright purposes, Pleasant Rowland had to change the story up a little bit to put in her book. But please look for video 8, and let me tell you how to teach the letter I for Indian. Bye-bye now.